After I cut all that out, obviously I used a blanket. The blanket I used earlier in the video was to cover the throttle body and any of the exposed openings like to the thermostat. And after I got done cutting it all, just went in there with compressed air, got all the aluminum shavings off. Wear eye protection when you do this. I also had ear protection on as well. And you'll get it done. So yeah, just get all the aluminum shavings off with some compressed air. Bundy here. Today I'm working on a 4.3 liter GM engine. This will be found in your, what you can find these in? Your S10s, your Astrovans, Blazers, your C1500 Cheyenne, Jimmys, Safaris, like I said, your S10 as well. It's also found in your Isuzu Ombre, which is basically an S10. What I'm doing is upper intake manifold gaskets, okay? They've been leaking. Did this about 5 years ago, and I'll tell you why it failed within 5 years. But I used to swear by this stuff. Okay, so I have this blanket here for a reason. But let me go over this, what I'm doing. So the intake, right, sits right here. Boom, you got all along here. You got bolts down here. You got bolts down here. But one bolt that is always a pain in the butt is the right, or passenger driver's side front corner, right? And you can see right here, I've actually cut into the AC bracket. Now, why have I done this? Because in the past, to do this, you have to take off the power steering pump, move this aluminum bracket out of the way to gain access to that bolt. So I was looking at this the other day and I said, what the heck? Why am I doing all that work when I could just cut a hole into the aluminum bracket for the AC compressor and get it done there, right? I'll show you the tools that I used as well. One was a die grinder and then a Dremel tool. But, so, I'll leave throttle body on. Obviously, I disconnect this for the injection or the spider unit down there. The fuel injectors, if you want to call them, before they were actually fuel injectors. The fuel pipe, fuel lines right here. The hose for the master cylinder, and then the ignition or the distributor. I'll pull that, get all the rest of the stuff out. But the main thing I wanted to show you is that you can actually cheat and get this bolt out by cutting into your AC compressor bracket. It's not going to affect the bracket at all. It's not going to hurt it at all. And when I was talking about before, I did this 5 years ago. I did do this 5 years ago, and it's probably got maybe 10,000 miles on it since then. I don't drive this very much, but I started smelling coolant every time I drove. And I'm like, what is going on here? So I did a pressure test on the system. Probably about after 30 minutes, it actually started falling. The gauge started falling, and I found out intake manifold gaskets were leaking. So I'm like, what the heck, dude? What the heck? And what I've determined is that Dexcool is crap. I would say a few more choice words, but I'm not going to for my younger audience. But Dexcool is crap. Do not use it. Do not use Dexcool, okay? Do not. I hate it. I used to swear by it. Now it is not good. And I've talked to other guys say the same thing. So stay away from Dexcool, all right? I don't know what GM was thinking when they switched over to Dexcool. I'd actually rather have the old green GM coolant in this thing than Dexcool. All right, next thing you need to do is make sure you use steel lower intake manifold gaskets. And Molly makes a gasket. I'll put some links down in the description below. But Molly makes a steel lower intake manifold gasket. And they offer a steel instead of plastic, like most of the intakes or all the intake gaskets I've put on here. This one's made out of steel. I'm also going to do the thermostat at the time, or now. It's coming from Rock Auto. I'm going to do the thermostat. So there you go, guys. I just want to show you, but you can make a notch in your AC compressor bracket to gain access to this 15mm bolt. And you can just slide this sucker out real nice and easy like. Real nice like. Probably took me about an hour to do it. A lot less time than taking all that stuff off. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to replace the water pump. I might. Once I get in there a little bit farther, I might change some of these bearings out. What else? Let me show you what I used to cut that hole. Started off with a grinder. So basically I just came here, I eyeballed it up, figured out where the bolt was, and then I just notched. Do I have it? Yeah. So I just took a screwdriver, see how it's like covered in kind of dirt and muck. I just went like that with one side, like that on the other. Then the grinding wheel is, so thick, right? Let's say, for example, let's say it's 3/8 thick, right? So I put the right side, the very leading edge, on where I made the mark, so that I would cut into where I needed to remove the material, not outside of it. So put the leading edge on the very outside of your mark, right? Then I just cut it down, and then once I got to a certain spot, I didn't want to hurt the valve cover or the intake, so I moved over to a Dremel tool with a steel accessory onto it. Okay, so not hard. Let me show you those tools real quick. This is all that I used. Here's the grinder. See how thick that wheel is right there? So like I said, I just put it on the edge of where I wanted to cut, and then the rest of it would grind away on the inside of the material between the two notches. All right, and I had to move this little barrier, this little cover, so I wouldn't cut through the exhaust line on the intake. That was pretty easy to do. Just move this clamp. And the next thing I came in with was a Dremel, little metal cutter. Just went down in there after I removed most of the material with this, and I didn't want to start cutting into the intake or mess up the bolt. Came in here with this, and then this little accessory too, where I needed to grind in some fine areas, so I had more control with this accessory for the Dremel than this one. But that was all I used, and that way you save yourself tons of hours trying to take off that bracket and the power steering pump for the 4.3 liter GM engine. All right, I should have done this a long time ago. So there you guys go. If it helps you out, please subscribe to Bundys Garage or make a donation. I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers this year in 2025. So if you can, help me make that happen. And like always, I'll keep it going.